Uh, Please welcome Utah Golf Hall of Fame PGA professional Jeff Beaudry, who will be our moderator, and Mr. Charles Vic Kline, our PGA Golf Professional of the Century.
Well, this is, on the one hand, a lot of responsibility. Everybody here okay? It's, on the one hand, a lot of responsibility. On the other hand, it's the easiest job of anybody that's ever talked here today, because I was joking with somebody. I said, well, you know, the first and only question I need to ask is, so Vic, how's it going?
Just great.
And then we'll be done in 45 minutes, because he will go on with all the great stories we want to hear. But, you know, what I know is that as we, people of Vic's age, my age, as we progress, we kind of think people know things about us. And so I'm looking forward to next month when he recaps all that. But you probably know that Vic has a long and storied career, and I'm going to ask a couple questions that maybe you'll highlight them for you, those who haven't been around for so long. But Vic, I understand you're 80 years old?
I'm 30 years old with 50 years of experience.
Okay, there you go. Good work. And I was talking to Alan Abrams preparing for this, and he said you shoot your age or better regularly.
I do try it pretty good.
I'll never get that old to shoot my age regularly. So
that's the advantage of being old.
And your wife's Nadine. How long have you all been married?
48 years.
48 years. Congratulations. 4 children?
Yes, 4 children and grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild.
Right. And that is, you were telling me about being up in the woods?
Yeah, I took my great-grandchild up in the northern Colorado last week for 3 days, and to show him some. We saw 4 moose, bunch of elk, antelope, and deer, and he just had the thrill to watch. I spoiled him, though, because I think I created a monster, because we're back in the back country. There's nobody there but us, and I let him sit on his Nona's lap and hang out the window. And he got to talk to these animals, you know, like hi moose, goodbye moose, and all this stuff. Now, to put him in his car seat, man, what a challenge that was. He no longer wanted to be in his car seat. He wanted to sit on his grandmother's lap, man, and hang out the window. So I don't know how we're going to deal with that in the future.
Yeah. One of the great advantages of being retired is getting that time, that quality time, isn't it, with the young ones? Yeah.
You know, you got time to do these things so you can enjoy it. And you don't have to hurry back to work. You don't have to do these things. You just have to feed these kids a bunch of sugar and then send them home.
That's the advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, because my son always says, well, how much sugar did you feed him this time? I just say, just enough to get even with you.
Well said, well said. So you were at Indian Tree from 1968 to 2004, is that correct?
Yes.
And as a professional, it looks like you've touched all the bases, and I'm going to try to get onto these a little bit, but teacher, player, golf course operator, junior golf leader, section leader, national leader, and maybe most importantly, mentor. You were also a veteran of the Air Force?
Yes. 3 years, 7 months, and 18 days.
After all these years, you still remember, huh?
Well, it was kind of an odd story. I got out of the military on the early out program to go to college. And it was strange. I had a commanding officer that was really great to me. I got out in the military within 24 hours, and other people would, you know, they amazed that. But I had to be out by Friday and enrolled in school on that Friday, because that was the 4th week of the university. And that registration was closed after that. And I was getting ready to go to officer candidate school, and he tried to talk me out of it. I says, no, they offered me a scholarship at the university. And I said, man, this is a once in a lifetime. I don't have to pay to go to school. And so he arranged everything. I went to front of every line in the military to get out, the hospital, all the checkout place. I had an officer walk me through. And it was kind of an experience. So I was really fortunate.
I'll say, now, do I understand correctly that you were a four-sport letterman in high school?
Yes. I played football, basketball, baseball, and golf.
Wow.
I tried track, but they wanted me to do shot put, and I said, no, I can't do that since I'm a pitcher, so I didn't want to do that.
And most people, of course, know that you are a PGA of America Golf Professional of the Year.
Yes.
What year was that?
2004.
Congratulations. Of course, Colorado Golf Hall of Fame and the PGA of America Hall of
Yes.
Fame, and I don't know if there's anything beyond being Colorado Section PGA Professional of the Century. That's kind of a capstone for it, isn't it?
It kind of took me by surprise, and I feel very honored when I look out here at all these section members to see all these great professionals, and to be honored in that situation was kind of a shock to me, and kind of I was speechless for a long time, and I'm just so honored to represent the section in that situation.
Wow, I guess. And I know that the section is honored to have you up there in that as an icon of really Colorado golf and Colorado PGA professionals. I know that the section's honored to have you represent them. Let me ask you, and I know you're not one to brag, excuse me, but you've had a long career, and a lot of it was playing pretty well competitively, and you're not really one to brag about it, but can you kind of just share a few of your fond memories of playing competitively? And Ed Mate talked about them earlier, those kind of things. Can you share some of those with us?
I played a lot of golf when I was in college and as an amateur. Of course, when you turn professional, you think you're going to play, and you don't get to play as much. And I didn't play as much tournament golf as I wanted to when I was a golf professional running industry, because I enjoyed my job. I didn't like to be gone for 4 days to play in a tournament somewhere, but I played enough to be competitive and held my own. Ed was talking to me about the Colorado Open, and he asked me about it and bring back memories. That's the only golf tournament that my father has ever watched me play. He came here from Iowa to visit, and I was playing the Colorado Open, so I was pleased to be able to play in front of him. And we were talking about my win in the tournament, and he asked me about the last hole. I played the last hole. Of course, I made a couple double bogeys in the final round, but I knew I was going to make a bunch of birdies, because at that time I used to be able to putt, and I knew I was going to make a bunch of birdies. But come to the last hole, and I just have to make par to win. First thing I do on 18 at high one, you know, the pin's on the right front, which is terrible, and I hit it in the back left. And I'm looking at this downhill putt, looks like about 6 miles, and it's going to break. And I leave it 8 feet short. And now you think you got an 8-footer downhill to win a tournament. And I don't know if I was dumb or smart. I just walked up and knocked it in. I didn't wait for anything. I was still out, so I didn't bother lining it up again. I knew how it broke. I'd played a high one a few times, and people asked me afterward, you know, did you really think about doing that, or did you plan? I said, I didn't plan on leaving it 8 feet short. I planned on making that putt. And if I'd have standing there and looked at that 8-footer, it would probably look like 30 feet, and I probably would have 3-putted it again. But I'm glad that's behind me. Trust me. I don't want to make 8-foot downhill side hillers now for anything if I can help it. First place, I can't see that far, but.
Interesting. Tell us some of the people over the years that I think that you've played with. I think I'd be interested to hear some of the.
In
people you've played
college,
with.
I played with a lot of future stars. I played with Don Massengale, Jackie Cupiat, Charlie Cootie. They all became future stars on the tour and the thing. I tell you a story about Charlie. I saw Charlie at the U.S. Open. I played in the U.S. Open in Detroit, Michigan, but he kept asking me, he says, why are you a club professional? You could be out here making money. And I said, I don't want to be out on the tour. I says, you guys travel. At that time, you were traveling by car. You finish on Sunday night, you jump in your car, you drive like a maniac, get to the next tournament, you're so exhausted. Your family's with you. They're not having any fun. I says, man, Sunday night, I go to bed, I wake up Monday morning, I may go play in a Pro-Am, and I get to see my family. And I may not make a fortune, but when I had a chance to go on the tour, Mr. Burke owned Pecan Valley in San Antonio, and I went down there. He wanted me, he was going to sponsor me, and I played. And I got to thinking about it. No, that's not my kind of life. The leading money winner at that time was $40,000, and you know, to travel every day and to do all these things, to be away from your family, that's not my idea of a life. Now they fly, and it's no big deal, but at that time, it'd be tough. I just didn't want to do it. I enjoyed that little playing my once or twice a week, and that was enough for me and to take care of my job.
Did anybody else notice he just kind of slipped in as playing in the U.S. Open?
Oh, I did. I played in 2 US Opens, and they're different. They're different. I enjoyed them, but it's a different game. At that time, Joe Dye tried to make the courses unplayable, but they were fun to play in. I did play in Hazeltine, though, and I wouldn't wish that golf course on anybody at that time. It's the worst golf course I ever played. As you remember, Dave Hill had a few comments to make about it. They've rebuilt it 4 times since then, so.
Do you remember the comments? Can you recall the comments?
Dave Hill said, look, the best pasture you ever saw. And it was kind of interesting. They mistook my wife for Barbara Nicholas. And they were trying to interview my wife, and they wouldn't believe that she wasn't Barbara Nicholas. And she finally got out of that trap, but they were trying to interview everybody. Bob Charles withdrew during the practice round. He said he'd never play that golf course. He played 1 practice round and withdrew. It was not much fun.
Good story.